Miss Liz, too hot academic times. Yeah, that's absolutely Buck Strickland. Yeah, totally. Ahoy hoy gang, if this is your first time with us, welcome! And if you're joining us from a previous video, hey, we love to see it, and I hope you're doing well. While it was no secret another season of King of the Hill was coming out, I was definitely surprised at how fast it did come out. Less than a year since the last season? Well, obviously they were rushing to get something out to recapture that revival lightning in a bottle, and the whole thing is unwatchable woke garbage. Right? Right? Well, there's only one way to find out and 3 questions to be asked. What worked, what failed, what non-binary rooster competitions will be curtailed? King of the Grill is the greatest cooking show you've never seen. It's time to review King of the Hill Season 15. Failure to hard launch. And here we are, the season premiere? I wanted to address this here because I think it really does recontextualize the entire season. When Season 14 was released, there were already stills of Season 15 being leaked. We saw Hank and Peggy walking in on Bobby and Connie from an episode later this season, and it's very obvious that Seasons 15 and 14 were made together and are supposed to be appreciated together as more of a 20-episode season than 2 10-episode ones. Which makes this episode not feel like a kickoff, but more a direct continuation of where we left off, and I really kind of love it. They don't take away the momentum to reintroduce elements or anything. You don't need to meet the people at Rabata Chain. You know the guys in the alley. I mean, just appreciate this new writing style. The last seasons of King of the Hill were aired at random times, out of order, and so they had to make sure the episodes could stand on their own. They couldn't really commit to anything. They needed to make sure you didn't need any other episodes to understand what was going on. Here, they expect that you saw all of Season 14 and are continuing to build a narrative. Oh no. He's talking about the structure of the season, so it must be a bad episode. He's rambling. Nope. The episode's just simple. Not a bad thing. Not a good thing. Just a thing. Connie and Bobby decide to do a soft launch of their relationship, and Shane sees the fat finger display and figures out that it's Bobby and fires Emilio for defending Bobby, so Bobby can't go and hang out with Connie out of just spite, just pure spite. Ted then makes Shane work in the restaurant, and oh look, Bobby and Shane learn about each other, and Emilio is eventually hired back on because Shane doesn't like doing real work. I honestly think Emilio is one of the best new characters of the revival. He's just such a good partner and I guess pseudo-mentor for Bobby. He gives him something to work with and it's really fantastic. The drama doesn't feel artificial, and this is absolutely how Shane would react to the news, even his drunken proposal that he attempted. And it needed to be addressed and smoothed out. The B story? There's an electric truck parked in front of Hank's house, and the gang do a stakeout to figure out who it belongs to. Turns out it's Nancy's to celebrate her getting a new season of a real estate show. And I kinda love that. The gang are the B story. They're doing something on the side and are not the main focus, and that's perfectly okay. They don't have to have exciting adventures every single episode. Sometimes it's just finding out who has an electric truck. It's not an incredibly remarkable episode, but it's not bad at all. It is a perfect episode to flow into from the season 14 finale and sets the tone of the season going forward. Bobby maturing and Hank growing a little more restless each episode, just ever so slightly. He's looking for a purpose now that he's back, and he still hasn't quite found it. Also, I did notice they're swearing a lot more in this season. More bleeps, more language you just weren't expecting from King of the Hill of all shows. Bill talks about hentai. It's very odd. It's very strange. But that's one of the benefits of being on a streaming service first rather than having to be on broadcast television. You have much more freedom with the language, much more freedom to be weird and out there characters, and you get to have a lot more fun with it. And it's just, it's not like Mike Judge is some wholesome creator by any means. Man made Silicon Valley and Beavis and Butthead. I love this energy that's sinking deeper into King of the Hill. It makes it feel that much more human. Failure to hard launch is a soft launched and overnight charging 8 out of 10. Care of the dog. Peggy finds a dog she desperately wants to foster and take care of until he finds a forever family. Everyone say hello to Caesar Salad! Oh, this is just going to be another Patriot act, isn't it? Oh, I just celebrated this show and now we're backtracking! Hank reluctantly agrees, and they now have this little gremlin dog that they're told is 2 and is very obviously very senior. Hank also complaining about why things are locked behind cages at supermarkets and stores, and same, dog, same. The bulk of the episode centers around Bobby trying to make Connie's birthday weekend at home absolutely perfect. Now, this is where I have to compare this season, especially this writing, to the later seasons of the show before it was canceled. Throughout the episode, we have Min and Con constantly fighting and bickering, and Bobby keeps trying to bridge the gap, even offering to pay for 2 different birthday dinners and trying to keep the peace however he can. This is Bobby trying to handle things as a mature adult. He's not going to make the best calls every single time, but he's trying. And everything he does is on brand. They are not tearing down character growth and character progression just to drive a narrative. It makes sense that Min and Con hate each other. It makes sense that they hate Bobby. They've always hated Bobby. They always think Bobby isn't good enough for Connie. And yet, Bobby is taking it all on the arches because he wants Connie to be happy. He's doing the mature thing. He could be petty, he could be spiteful, but he isn't. I know this is going to be a controversial topic, but this is really the first episode where we get deep into the new Con. Look, if you wanted to have a little toggle option where Toby Huss is doing the voice again, I really wouldn't be that mad. All the other recasts are fantastic. They really, truly are. I've even grown on Ted's recasting that I was kind of a little light on, and then I think he only has 1, maybe 2 lines this season, and they fit. I don't have a problem with it. It's just Ronnie Ching he's not Con. He's a very funny guy. I love him. I genuinely enjoy him in what I see him in. He's great in The Daily Show. It's just his delivery for Con is it's just jarring. Now, again, they were probably recording at the same time, so he probably recorded both seasons, simultaneously, so he hasn't had a chance to really grow and mature with the character. And, he may be better in later episodes. It's just here, he's not quite there. Anyway, while Con's out with Bobby, he breaks down and Bobby tells him what the perfect gift he got for Connie was, and all of a sudden, Con steals Bobby's idea for the perfect birthday gift and gives it to her, so Bobby has to improv a song at the birthday dinner to try and woo his girlfriend. And it absolutely works because they do karaoke together and he knows what she likes. That's the Bobby difference. He can humiliate himself in public at the drop of a hat if it means making someone he loves happy. That's years of being a mascot, rodeo clown, comedian, and absolutely a chef at play. That is his form of maturity. Hank raised a good son. And the even better part? Connie knows it was his idea. They don't take away what Bobby was trying to do. Connie figured out what his gift was, she knows what her dad did, and she loves Bobby even more for it. These aren't 2 8 or 12-year-old kids anymore. They're adults that understand each other. While this is going on, Hank starts to appreciate the new dog Caesar when it catches Bobby and Connie together in bed, and by the end of the episode, you get to see why he's so hesitant to care about a new dog. He takes Caesar Salad to visit Lady Bird's grave, and he knows he wouldn't be able to move on without talking to her about it first. Which is perfect. Lady Bird was already old in the original series. She was losing her hearing and being a senior good girl long before they were going to Saudi Arabia. It makes sense, especially with how attached to her Hank was, that it would be hard for him to move on. But he opens himself up to it. He gets closure and Caesar becomes the Hill's newest addition. Which honestly, I can't even hate. An older couple taking on a senior dog for companionship makes sense to me. All of this is just a natural, logical progression, and I love it. This is exactly how these characters would act. They're not modernized or torn down. This is natural growth. And this season really focuses on Hank's melancholy. Where the last season was him adjusting to being back at Rainy Street, now he's back. And he has to fill his days. He has to find something, anything to do. And now it's taking care of a dog he didn't even want that's now become his little buddy. This is so good. Because you have Hank trying to refigure out his life and Bobby figuring out his life for the first time. Hank has to reclaim being king of the hill, and Bobby's starting his ascent. Care of the Dog is an anal gland releasing 8 out of 10. Searching for Bobby Phisher. Okay, I don't usually do this, but major credit to Jeremy Hu for the writing on this episode. This is fantastic structure. I love this. Joseph invites Bobby to go with him to Mexico to hit it big with the ladies, and Connie encourages Bobby to go with his buddy. Bobby then goes to his dad to get his passport back, and we see Bobby's blue-haired K-pop BTS phase. Hank says Bobby is irresponsible since he doesn't have his passport always on him or doing responsibilities, and sends him on his way. In Mexico, Joseph actually forgot to confirm their reservation, so they miss out on NurseCon, and it's up to Bobby to figure everything out and fix it. And Bobby gets sunburned because Joseph has only expired sunscreen. Wow, Joseph not thinking plans through and Bobby has to fix the problems? He truly is a gribble. And that's the episode. You see Bobby having to clean up after Joseph time and time again, just like how Hank has to clean up after Dale and his shenaniganery. Bobby isn't completely irresponsible, he's just not always as train-loving as his father when it comes to responsibilities. He runs a restaurant after all. He's not a complete stooge. He understands food costs and the maturity it takes to try and take cooking to the next level. He's confident, charismatic, and he's not overly cocky. And this is all shown to us, not just told to us. His actions are perfectly in line with who he is as a character, and it makes sense for who he is with who his parents were. And I know I keep talking about this consistency, and it's such a sticking point, and the only reason for that is because, again, the later seasons of King of the Hill before it was canceled were famous for character assassination. 1 week they're one way, 1 week they're another. They never knew what they needed them to be. These seasons flow as one steady narrative and the characters stay the same, and that's why I love the A story of this episode so much. If this was, say, a season 12 episode, I know this story would not have been done right at all. While Bobby is in Mexico, Hank and Peggy get a call from what seems to be Bobby, except it isn't. It's AI. Bobby is supposedly in jail and needs bail, and so they get scammed out of their money, and Hank starts to spiral because he, of all people, got fished. He lost control. Peggy and Hank end up going to a class about not falling for phishing scams, and next thing he knows, he's teaming up with Dale to delete his entire digital footprint and go off the grid as possible. As he spirals, Bobby works with Peggy and Connie to help his dad get his confidence back by playing a scammer pretending to be Sylvester Stallone trying to get funding for the hit sequel to the arm wrestling classic, Over the Top, which apparently, of course, Hank loves. I love that. I love that he's a Sylvester Stallone fan, but more specific than any other film, he loves Over the Top, which is arguably, it's not, Stop or My Mom Will Shoot, but it's not exactly one of his best. But Hank uses the tools he's gained, the lessons he's learned, and he's able to piece together that this is not actually Sylvester Stallone just randomly calling people. And like this wasn't Bobby talking with the scam school teacher or, some third party involving themselves. This was all Bobby's idea, and he takes the reins and actually helps his dad without asking for any recognition or proving it in any way. He's not mocking his dad, he's not calling his dad dumb for falling for it. He's just doing it to help him and help him regain his confidence. There's such a delightful undercurrent of love and respect between the two. Hank even compliments his son to the scammer, and again, has no idea it's actually Bobby. The family is way more genuine and honest with each other, and it's just, it's so nice to see. If a lesser team was working on this episode, if a lesser team was writing, directing, or voicing it wouldn't be half as good. It sings because the talent at work knows the story they're trying to tell. Searching for Bobby Phisher is an arm-smashing, marrow-sucking 9 out of 10. Hank encounters of the nerd kind. If there was ever a filler episode of these 2 seasons, it would probably be this one. And I think it has my biggest gripes of the entire revival inside it. Let's do the B story first. Peggy and Min take a poetry course where Peggy's writing is too vapid and empty and Min's is too dark, so eureka, brain blast. The teacher has them write together and they become a smash hit. However, when Min gets too happy from getting a date after her divorce from Khan, Peggy tries to ruin her happiness by sending Khan to meet the date and get her depressed again. Which, I mean, again, Min isn't exactly a great person. She actively abuses Bobby, and that's just who she is. But also, that's on brand for Peggy. That is the most on brand Peggy thing Peggy could ever do. They are frenemies through and through. They will give so much blood they are crawling across the finish line because of their relationship. They are always in competition. And, again, it's fluff and it's filler, but it's on brand for who they are. The drama doesn't feel artificial at all. The A story has Hank going to help Bobby run a food truck at a sci-fi convention and looking down on the nerds while trying to attract people to the food truck. Oh look, he gets his pass stolen and has to get it back. Oh look, he watches the sci-fi movies that inspired the con and makes a replica of the axe to share with the nerds to drive business over to the food truck. I get why it's here, and it exists to show off that Hank is more easily swayed to understand different perspectives than he used to be, but I don't know. It definitely feels like the weakest experience overall. It feels like a trailer you would air at like San Diego Comic-Con where Hank's going around and going, "What the god dang is an Avengers Doomsday? Boah!" But they couldn't use that. They couldn't use any name brand, so you get this weird like, "They're blue aliens with axes. That sure is dumb. Why is everyone dumb except for me? Boah." I cannot do a good Hank. I apologize for making you suffer through it. This episode would have fit much better in the last season. This would have fit better as he's still trying to readjust to what the new Arlen is. That, this new community, this new idea. But this is him helping after he already recognized Bobby is an incredible chef. Bobby is doing great things. He's proud of his son. So now he's looking down on the people Bobby wants to impress and get to eat his food. It just doesn't weigh the same. It doesn't have the gravitas I want it to. The other thing that bugs me is the animation this season, which when it's 4 or 5 characters on screen, it's not that bad, but you really start noticing the blocky movements and how characters adjust when they're in an entire convention hall. The designs all feel just a little flat. They lack that extra touch you had in the original series. Sure, it went from hand-drawn to digital, but you could still see this characteristic, almost not quite super exact human look to the characters, but they didn't look as empty as they do in the convention episode. They just feel like they're missing 3 or 4 details to each character. And you start seeing this jerking motion. It doesn't quite click. The gears are scraping, but they're not quite going along. Overall, the episode is just sort of okay. Nothing amazing, nothing worth skipping, just a good rerun episode if you caught it on Adult Swim on some idle Tuesday. I'm pretty sure the episodes are only airing on like FXX or something, which I don't, I use Adult Swim. Anywhere you find it on rerun works. Am I rambling because the episode is pretty there? Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly what I'm doing. Close Encounters of the Nerd Kind is a forged and combined 7 out of 10. The Best Little Marriage in Texas. Now, this is a weird episode. Reverend Stroop is back, and she's looking for helpers at the marriage retreat, and Peggy wants to be more involved in the church, while Hank just wants to repair things and go to church maybe once a week. Now, once she offers for him to help around the marriage retreat by just fixing things, he's right on board, because of course he is. We love our WD-40 spraying on WD-40 can Hank Hill. He's the best. Now, who's leading this marriage retreat to help you build a better relationship? Oh, why, it's Dale and Nancy. Nancy, who has never told Dale about her affair with John Redcorn, and is still doing the affair to this day, which, like, woof. Why not just have her move on and do her own thing? I thought she hadn't been with John in a long time. We never really even get a feedback on why she's doing that, why she fell back into being with John Redcorn again. Like, there really could have actually been something there. If Nancy had told Dale and they needed to strengthen their relationship, or she quit Redcorn and never went back and she had to do a sort of redemption arc, okay. Like, there was a layup redemption story right there. Nope. It's just shrugged off. Granted, it's Nancy, and she is a far from perfect person. This is on brand for her. I get it. Dale still worships the ground she walks on, and he's still imperfect too. It's just, woof. It's a lot that they never really stick the landing on. Stroop finds out about Nancy's infidelity, and Peggy and Hank take over the retreat, even though their marriage has its own communication issues. Okay. Remember that time Peggy had a kid with another man and never told Hank that Bobby wasn't his and was actually Bill's? Wild and wrong fan theories aside, that never happened. No marriage is perfect, but I mean, come on. It's not like it's the same. It's a false equivalency. That's all I'm saying. Like, Hank has always had Peggy's back, even as far back as, the second episode of the show where he's encouraging her to teach sex ed and encouraging Bobby to listen to his mother because he believes in her, because he loves her, and he trusts her. An episode that came out like 30 years ago. Have they always been open in their communication? Nope, sure haven't. But what makes Nancy and Dale better at this than Hank and Peggy, really? Just that they've done it more. Sure. Okay. I guess. Oh, look, by the end, Nancy is telling Redcorn that her headaches are gone and he drives off. Obviously, there's no way they could have planned for real-world goings-on, but it's such a shame that's the last time we see Jonathan Joss's John Redcorn. It's just unfortunate that he didn't even really get a story. Oh, the B story? You want the B story? A film crew comes to see if Bobby has what it takes to compete on King of the Grill, and they can't stick on what his personality is in front of the camera. Is he a heel, a prodigy, what? He starts going heel on his friends and co-workers, and they all start shunning him until he realizes he can't do that and just has to be himself. Then they realize he's a young restaurant owner and give him his spot anyway. It's fine. It sets up the producer being this sort of antagonist that will set up any narrative to get views, which is what a producer does. You're not supposed to love her. You're not supposed to full out hate her, but you understand why she's there. It's fine. It's set up. I don't know. It just felt like artificial drama, which for a reality cooking show, yeah, that absolutely tracks and again, sets up the drama for later. I'm also kind of glad they had Hank and Peggy still going to church. I know people have complained about how progressive the show has gotten and this and that, but it really hasn't. It's always been like this. This is on brand. This is how Hank and Peggy would have acted 14 seasons ago. It's always been a commentary on rural culture. It's always been a commentary on rural Texas from Mike Judge's lived experiences. Like, if you think it's a problem, look in the mirror. And like, Hank and Peggy going to church doesn't make them bad people. It makes them people. And that's fine. You can go to church and not be horrible. What a concept. What a concept that someone goes to church once a week and isn't evil. Oh no, they changed the name of Samoas. We've got to burn it all down. Regress. I don't know. It's such an important casual touch. There's still the hills, no matter how much things may change around them. The best little marriage in Texas is stripped down and rowing. 6 out of 10. Changes! The B story? The gang thinks that Con is training Bill like a dog so he can claim ownership of Bill's house and kick him out. In reality, Con was just trying to help Bill get control of his life because he's moving out and wants him to be okay when he does leave. I haven't talked about it much, but throughout this season, we have seen mention of Con and Bill living together. And Bill has been so kind to Con. He believes in Con. He has supported Con, and he thinks Con is just the absolute best. After 13 seasons of Con absolutely tearing Bill down, mocking him, thinking he's just some dumb redneck, and when Con had nothing, when he had nothing going for himself, Bill took him in. Bill took care of him. Bill helped him. And I think that's probably one of the most underappreciated elements of not only Bill, but Con as well. Like, Bill, no matter how far down he has been knocked, he will always lift someone else up. That is who the Bill-dozer is. And Con, he may pretend he's better than everything, better than everybody else. He does have a sweet spot for Bill, because Bill saw a second chance in him. And this is why I think the Toby Huss voice needs to be a toggle option, not just an emphatic, Toby Huss needs to be the original voice actor again. I hate Con's new voice. Because this, I don't know. I think Ronnie's delivery of Con in this episode comes across way more genuine. He does a great job. It's just, this episode in particular is probably his best performance as Con. You can really hear the emotion in his performance, and it's just an important thing to call out. Like, he has improved as time has gone on. I may not be a fan of his lines every episode. This episode, I think he actually did a fantastic job. It's just, And when Con moves out, he realizes how much he misses his roommate and ends up moving back in with Bill. It's wholesome, and I don't know. It makes Bill and Con look just a little bit better. It's great. The A story? Peggy is having mood swings, hot flashes, and is very obviously struggling to fight through her menopause. But her mom fought through it alone, so she'll fight through it alone. And this is a very important thing, because Hank sees how uncomfortable she is, and he's worried about his wife. He wants to do anything and everything he can to help her. And whenever he sees his wife sick, whenever he sees his wife injured, he has always stepped up to the plate, even if it makes him uncomfortable. He loves Peggy. And these past 2 seasons have done a beautiful job showing that their relationship has gotten deeper as they've gotten older. It's changed, it's contorted, and Hank's a little bit more confident around Peggy. He's a little bit more open to expressing love and affection and showing her he genuinely cares. And Peggy is regressing in on herself. She's in pain. She's hormonal. She doesn't know what to do. She doesn't know how to feel. So she sits in her rascal watching Golden Girls. And it's sad to see Peggy like that, especially for Hank. And again, if this was like a season 11 or 12 episode, this would not be done properly. But they take the time to showcase how Hank wants Peggy to be okay. He's even willing to cross state lines and get the illicit devil's lettuce from a dreaded dispensary if it means she gets relief. He's willing to do whatever it takes for the love of his life. They may not have the best communication, but there is no way you can argue that Hank doesn't love Peggy. She is his everything. He would do anything to make her happy. They aren't perfect, but they're perfect for each other. And by the end of the episode, she's still going through it. It's not just magically, oop, it's gone, see you next week, we're all good to go. She's still dealing with it. And she's out there in the alley with Min and Nancy, who are also still fighting through it. And they're sharing a joint. They're smoking in the alley. And they're having their own moment. They fought each other. They've sabotaged each other. But right now, in this quiet moment, you can see their own bond being showcased. The moms of Rainy Street just getting along. The people of Rainy Street are just one big dysfunctional family at the end of the day, and this perfectly personifies it. No matter what, they'll always be together. Changes is a B. Arthur celebrating 10 out of 10. Hank ruffles some feathers. I don't know how to feel about this episode. It feels weirdly unnecessary. We finally get the appearance of Boomhauer's girlfriend, and she just sort of shows up, drops Luke Jr. off, and dips. She'd be played by Katie Mixon Greer, who you'd recognize from Mike and Molly, Eastbound and Down, and of course, American Housewife. She's fine in it. She's exactly who she is. She's exactly what you expect. It's just such a disappointment. I kind of wish we didn't see Boomhauer's girlfriend if they're going to be so unceremonious about her reveal. Like, you had her on the phone, you had her in the distance, you never actually got to see her, and then you see her, and she's just like, now careful, you can't have him do this, or else he'll break down. I don't think I like Luke Jr. He feels weird for Boomhauer. Like, I get his purpose. I get what Boomhauer is, supposed to do, as like he's basically a step parent and he's taking on responsibility. He's showing he can take care of him. It just doesn't stick the landing. It doesn't feel cemented, I guess. But alas, what can you do? Boomhauer has to look after Luke Jr., and when Hank and Peggy take up making a chicken coop, Luke Jr. bonds with a hen that turns into a rooster and wants to enter them into a rooster call competition, but people complain because the rooster wasn't a rooster at birth and only turned into one because of a freak shift in its biology and hormones, which is a thing that can happen. It's just, what? Oh, look, the rooster lost because there were other roosters that were better than it. Okay, that really feels like a really mixed metaphor that doesn't know what it really wants to set up. I just, not quite a commentary on athletics, not quite a commentary on overly political ideas behind things as simple as rooster competitions. Just kind of gets lost in its own sauce by the end of the episode. But Luke Jr. is branching out more, and Boomhauer is stepping up as a pseudo-father figure, so that's nice, I guess. The B story has Bobby subbing in for Connie as the mascot at her college when she fails at it and doesn't want to keep doing it, pretending to just want to focus on her studies. I really appreciate that they don't, go, wow, look at this, it's my puppet, like how I used to be a puppeteer in that one episode 8 seasons ago. Bobby being a mascot was a big part of who he was as a kid. Him being a rodeo clown had a several episode arc to it. Like, it makes sense that Bobby is still passionate about being a mascot. And at the end of the day, he's still 21. He's still a kid by all intents and purposes. If he was in college, he would absolutely be a college mascot. He's having fun with it. He's showing off, and he's actually excited, while Connie really can't be bothered, because it showed that she's flawed It showed that she can't do everything perfectly. And Bobby is there encouraging her to try it again and actually let herself fail because she's never really let herself fail before. And she does. She tries it out and she completely whiffs, but she's happy. It's actually really, really sweet. They're actively helping each other grow. They're addressing the issues in their relationship and each other's flaws and growing through them with each other's support. I don't know. I appreciate that they're not just getting jealous or frustrated and walking away. It shows healthy growth, and that's what you're always looking for. Even with more swearing, more dramatic ideas, and sharper comedy, they never take that idea of King of the Hill being a comfort show away. It's new, but it's not completely different. It works, even if you don't know why. Hank Ruffles Some Feathers is a scrambled and fried 8 out of 10. No-Cuddle Offense. Bill gets into the weird, wild world of platonic cuddling as a form of therapy to grapple with his loneliness. That's a really human approach to this. Bill then ends up selling most of his belongings to afford a cuddling retreat, and there it is. There's the Bill going too far angle. It's a classic Bill episode, everybody, where Bill gets too lost in the sauce, goes way too far with something that should work, that should be something positive, and it goes way too far. This is Diabolic Shock. This is Bill and the Bulk Buddies. This is Bill and the Christmas Village. We have seen this before. Bill is desperate to connect with anyone and anything, and he'll do anything and pay any price to get it to happen. Pro huggers and cuddlers can make between $40 and $120 an hour. An hour. And here I am making videos to entertain like a chump. Hank and the gang go to pull Bill away from the siren's seductive platonic cuddle and try to give him some hope for the future and get him back out into the dating world. You know what? This would have been a perfectly good Brian episode. Remember Brian? Keith David? He shows up a few times in season 14, completely missing from season 15. They were made at the same time. They're basically one big season cut in half, and you're telling me they didn't have any ideas for Brian in the back half? Missed opportunity is all I'm saying. Also, Khan isn't involved. You would think Khan would be a part of this. Khan's his roommate. You think Khan doesn't have a say in what's going on here? I don't know. I wish Khan had stepped in to save Bill, maybe had like a heart-to-heart with him. But it's just the guys, and they vow to help him take on a date and get out there again, which is sweet. It is what you need to see. I like that they all try and play football again and realize that they are way too old to keep doing that. And that's also a very sweet touch. The B story? A food critic comes into Bobby's restaurant and Peggy, being Peggy, decides to talk loud enough for him to overhear, and he reveals that she was his teacher in high school. He then writes a scathing review, and we find out that Peggy actually failed him in English and barred him from going into his dream school because of his Beowulf essay. This crushes Bobby, since it's actually turning away business, so Peggy goes to his office and critiques his paper in front of him and admits she was too harsh, but also that his paper wasn't that good to begin with. She revises her score of his essay, and he revises his review. Peggy even apologizes to Bobby when he says that she can never admit when she was wrong, and she admits that when she destroyed his turkey back in Goodbye Normal Jeans, she was wrong for doing that. And it's that kind of callback I appreciate from King of the Hill. Sure, we see Bobby's puppet, or we see the mirror from the episode where he was a Buddha, maybe. And they'll make jokes here and there, but they never spiral too far down the memberberry rabbit hole and make entire episodes dedicated to righting wrongs. And I really love that they called that out in just a sentence. They don't linger on it. They don't make it the whole crux of the episode or anything. They acknowledge that what she did was wrong, and they move on with a healthier relationship between the two. It's cute, it works, and I appreciate that Bobby understands exactly who Peggy is. You can absolutely go into season 14 and 15 as your introduction to the show, but if you watch the whole thing, these seasons reward you for it. It's just there's a lot of really great touches. No-Cuddle Offense is a dog-piled and Beowulf bludgeoning 8 out of 10. Reality bites. Alright, the B story has Hank and the guys finding a cannon while magnet fishing. They wonder what to do with it, and Hank tells them that they can't fire it or they might hurt themselves. Hey gang, what do you think they do? You're not going to believe what they do. They fire it, then toss the cannon back in the river to hide the evidence. What a natural boy story. It's a very light and easy story because obviously it's not the focus of the episode, but you need to have Hank doing something. So you have them all go out on this very quick little adventure where they do their own little thing, and it's delightful. These guys have been friends since they were kids. Of course they get a cannon, they engrave, a little message on it, and they have some fun with it. That is completely on brand, and I actually really love that Hank is having fun with the guys. He needs this. He needs his community back, and I'm glad they are there for him. It is so genuinely sweet. Like, they all care about each other. They all want to be there for one another. And it just, I don't know. It's hard to write it that way. It makes you wish, while I talk about if you could just have Toby Huss do Khan's voice, I wish I could hear Johnny Hardwick's Dale for these episodes. I wish, as tragic as it is, I wish we hadn't lost the stars that we had lost of this show. Maybe we would have gotten a Luann story. Maybe we would have had Lucky involved. Maybe things would be different. I mean, it's not like we got Principal Moss in the Rooster episode just played by Stephen Root. But it wasn't the same. I don't know. I know Dale wasn't the main focus of this episode, and it wasn't a Dale episode by any stretch of the imagination. It really made me miss Johnny Hardwick. Like, it feels like an incomplete story without him. And Toby Huss has been a fantastic Dale. Let me be abundantly clear. Like, he has been a fantastic Dale because he was friends with Johnny Hardwick for a very long time. If anyone can do that voice, it's him. And he is incredibly talented. It's just, it stings. It just stings. But what's the A story? Well, the A story is it's Bobby's big moment as he competes on the hit show King of the Grill, hosted by Andre Rush, played by, you guessed it, the bulkiest chef to ever bulk up, Andre Rush, which I was not expecting that. Of all the people, not Alton Brown, not Guy Fieri, Andre Rush, the man that'll crush anything on his biceps. Bobby has Connie stay with him while he competes so they can practice living together, and he gets paired up with a female chef who the producer tries to get him to have a romance on camera with. The more risque they are, the further they'll go in the competition for the sake of ratings. Drama! Bobby tells Connie not to worry about it, and oh look, the female chef is kissing Bobby on camera and Connie is there conveniently to see it. Ruh-roh, Reggie! When the producer keeps pushing Bobby to go further, he stops mid-competition and shows off his shirt with a picture of him and Connie on it and tells them that Connie is the woman he loves and he'd do anything for her. Is it cliche? Yes. Does Bobby handle it in a mature way that shows he cares about her and doesn't want to give her up, even if it means losing notoriety and a chance at being a celebrity chef? Absolutely. Bobby knows what's important to him. He may not win, but he got the girl. And that's what's important to him. It's a solid payoff for the King of the Grill competition and Bobby's arc this season overall. While we still have one more episode of the season, this is where Bobby's story really kind of ends. He's climbed up the ladder. He's making gains. He's got the girl, he's got the grill, and life is good. People want pictures of the two in his restaurant, and he has a sense of completion to his story. I have no idea what the next season has in store for the brave little Bobster, but I'm ready to see it. Reality Bites is a stone cooked and fired 9 out of 10. Propane Recall. And here we are, the season finale. Okay, look. King of the Hill came back after 15 years. So many people had a worry that it wouldn't be that good. that it wouldn't capture the spirit of what King of the Hill is. I talk a lot about episodes shows were made for, that seasons were made for. And this is one of them. Jack asks Hank to come pick him up because he's too drunk, and when he goes to get him, he's confronted by Jack, Enrique, and Buddha, who tell him that Strickland Propane is going bankrupt and they need him to save the day. We then get a flashback of what happened all those years ago. Hank was passed over for a promotion, and Roy, that's right, Roy becomes the new manager for Strickland Propane, which is a very interesting callback. He, of course, would be played by the returning great Dietrich Bader. Danny Trejo, Dave Herman, and Phil Lamar all return too, and it's honestly fantastic hearing so many classic voices again. Hank quits Strickland and goes to look for a new job, while Bobby goes and gets a job at Whataburger and finds his passion for cooking and really wants to succeed at it. He even starts to make Hank proud by seeing how passionate he is about making people happy. Hank even tries to swallow his pride and go to Thatherton for a job just to find out that Jimmy is Thatherton's number one for some reason. I didn't even know they interacted. Like, thinking back on the episodes, I'm not even sure that they've been in the same room together. And for some reason, Jimmy is his number one? Just doesn't make sense. And like, look, I love Dave Herman. I've sang his praises, I have bashed his voices, but like, he was in the first rated R comedy I had ever seen. He's in one of the favorite movies of my life. I adore Dave Herman. I think he's an incredibly talented man. I think he's a very funny man. Of all the characters I didn't want to hear again, of course, Jimmy, the Can Man, would be back. I hate it. I hate Jimmy with this fiery passion of 10,000 collapsing suns. He is the worst. Refusing the job from Thatherton, Hank gets offered to go and work for Aramco in Saudi Arabia, and yeah, he and Peggy decide to head out and try something new, even if it means leaving everything they know and love to make a ton of money. We also get a mention of Luann and Lucky when Bobby says he'll stay behind and live with them so that he can focus on, school and everything. And I'm really just glad their names were said. I don't know if Bobby actually ended up staying or if he went with them. It's never really established. And I thought in the intro he did leave, but maybe he was just going to visit. Who knows? Flashing back to present day, we see Hank drive past Strickland Propane and it's falling apart. He goes inside and finds Roy passed out drunk in the destroyed business and knows what he needs to do. He goes to confront Buck and he just tears him down. He absolutely just does not care about Buck anymore. He no longer looks up to him. He knows the broken man Buck is. And I love that for him. I love that Hank has become his own man and has outgrown the man he once looked up to. And so the season ends with Hank owning 51% of Strickland Propane and owning his own propane company for the very first time. Hank is now the manager, the owner, the Mac Daddy of Arlen. This has been earned since the pilot of the series, and look at how far everyone has come since then. This episode recontextualizes the entirety of the revival. It shows Hank trying to effectively get his old self back, to find his groove after being unceremoniously skipped over again. It's his journey to rediscover his passion while Bobby throws his heart behind what he truly loves. And you can see the inspiration Bobby has been for Hank to find that passion again. For Hank to realize what's important to him. And he's taken a step back from Strickland Propane and found his loves. Not only his love for Peggy, but he also mentions his guitar in this season. He hasn't mentioned playing guitar in years. It's just this is a perfect way you end a season. It's exactly how you walk away from a revival. Everyone has something positive in their lives, and it's amazing to see. It's the perfect bow on a gift that took 15 years to craft. I have no idea what the future holds. I have no idea what new seasons will focus on, but the series is in the perfect spot to keep going or end entirely and you're satisfied. It's rare you have two finales good enough to be a series finale. And King of the Hill somehow has like 5 series finales. It's crazy. It really is a truly special show. And this episode shows no matter what, Hank will always be the king of the hill. Propane Recall is a BTS blasting, designated driving 10 out of 10. And there we have it. That's season 15. Anything think I was right on? Wrong on? What was your favorite episode of the season? Least favorite? Let me know in the comments below. Hey, if you liked what you saw, consider liking, subscribing, hyping, and telling your friends. We're out here. Season 15 was just more fantastic King of the Hill. It's not the show you know and love dipped in chrome paint and called Neo King the Propane Master. It's a natural evolution of the story you've loved for decades. It's exactly where everyone would be and should be. It's not destroying the legacy or trying to reinvent the wheel. They're giving you a more story-dedicated narrative about the families of Rainy Street. You're getting closure. You're getting relatability. You're getting Bobby becoming his own King of the Grill. So many people grew up on King of the Hill, myself included. We were watching it from the perspective of Bobby. And now Bobby is an adult trying to feed nerds, compete on reality shows, and get the girl next door. He's become his own man, and every second of it feels earned. As if it was some message to the kids that grew up on the show going, hey, you're going to do some cool things. You're going to be an awesome person. We believe in you. And even Hank earned being the owner of Strickland Propane. He has gotten a new path for himself. And it's just, it's art. Who knows what the future holds, but I'm genuinely excited. I may never get a second season of my beloved Strip Law, but so long as there's new King of the Hill, even half as good as this on the horizon, hey, not everything is total darkness. Anyway, that's going to do it for us here at the Lecture Hall. And if you want to support the channel, consider joining our membership or Patreon programs today. $3 a month gets your name on this incredible list of champions. Look at them all. They tap their lands in magic a full 90 degrees like someone with some commitment in their core. They're not some 35-degree tilt chump. Is it tapped? Untapped? Make up your mind! Thank you all so much for watching. I am so sorry it's been so long since there's been updates. The old academic's been having some health issues, but we persevere. We got some fun reviews coming down the pipes. We never know how much time we have, so please give yourself some grace. Don't regret who you are or where you are right now. Even if you just woke up today, I'm proud of you. No matter what, any progress is progress. Always forward, never back. A rising tide lifts all ships, and I gotta believe one hell of a wave is a-coming. Thank you all so much for watching. You all make it worth it, and I'll see you all next time. Goodbye, everybody.